shop local.
The purpose of our group is to connect small business owners with the Las Vegas locals while creating a network of like-minded professionals to share strategies and support within an online community.
Our mission is to encourage you to get out and go shop local.
Hey guys, thank you and welcome to Shop Local Las Vegas. My name is Maxine Ross and I'm here with Ben Burkhalter. And we are here today with Dan Thompson of D'Agostino's Trattoria. He is the owner. We're going to go over a little bit of just the company and the restaurant itself, how COVID has affected it, and how he is operating now. So thank you and welcome, Dan. How are you doing today?
Hi, everybody.
Yay!
So D'Agostino's was established on November 1st of 2018. D'Agostino's, the name D'Agostino's comes from my mother's side of the family. My great-grandfather Giovanni was the first one to come over from Reggio Calabria, Italy in 1907 and settle in upstate New York. And our family grew and grew and grew. And eventually my mother met my father in high school in the choir in San Diego. And his name is Thompson. So that's how the Thompsons came in. But D'Agostino's is rich in history and heritage. We actually have our ancestry in a photo wall in the restaurant. So you can go and see, you know, all my aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, great grandparents are there. So you really can actually experience and see the history behind the name and the brand of D'Agostino's Trattoria.
Love it.
Love it. So Dan, obviously, just to give some of the customers and some people that haven't been to your restaurant before, maybe highlight some of your menu and kind of what you offer. Obviously, D'Agostino's. It sounds like it's a pretty Italian name, so I'm hoping to get some lasagnas and some pizzas out of this. So what do you guys got cooking over there?
So classic Italian, home style. There's nothing really fancy about D'Agostino's. It's all about flavor and quality and service. Obviously, service is really what we do best. But we have your classic dishes, you know, spaghetti, meatballs, fettuccine Alfredo, you know, stuff like that, the basic staples. But we also do a lot of really nice veal dishes. We have a veal chop that we do Parmesan crusted with Chianti reduction and demi-glace. We have ossobuco normally most of the year, although we're going to be removing that for the menu for the summer. We do a seasonal menu. So we're going to be transitioning into some lighter dishes for the summer. But we have fish, we have halibut, we have salmon, we have orange roughy in classic preparation styles. Your scallopini, veal, Milanese, Parmigiana, piccata, marsala, and then we have a signature veal dish, which we call Dee's House Signature Scallopini. It's your sauteed scallopini with hand-turned artichoke hearts, cremini mushrooms, garlic, white wine, glace de poulet, glace de veau, and a little bit of crispy prosciutto on top. That's one of my signature dishes. We have great salads. We're working on an octopus salad for the summer, which will be great. Some hot appetizers, some antipasto, I mean, a little bit of everything. And we do everything from scratch. We're a total scratch kitchen. Lots of imported ingredients. I import my tomatoes from Campania. Best tomatoes I've ever found anywhere, and that really makes a difference. So yeah, we're old school in a way, but working on new school recipes all the time. Keep our customers engaged and trying new things and trying to compete in our market.
Well, everything you just described there is getting me really hungry because I don't know about most of you guys, but this quarantine has packed on a little extra that I'm not used to and trying to be good, but you speaking this language to me sounding really good. So just last thing, if I'm a new customer and the one thing that you could have me try that I need to have from D'Agostino's, what's on the menu and what am I getting?
Rack of lamb. So I have a New Zealand free-range rack of lamb that I do grilled and served with baby potatoes, our hand-turned artichoke hearts. All of our artichoke hearts are peeled all the way out from the outside down to the heart. We'd do that by hand. Hand cut them, take the choke out. The flavor on those artichokes is something like you've never had before if you're used to buying them in the store, because they come in a brine and they have these, all these preservatives and everything. Ours is pure. You can actually taste the artichoke. And I do my lamb sauce with Cabernet vinegar and demi-glace, veal demi-glace, a little rosemary. It's probably, once people have that dish, they're like, oh my God, this is the best lamb I've ever had anywhere, and they're like hooked on it, so that'd be the one I'd send to your table.
Duly noted. So Dan, with all this COVID stuff going on, we're trying to kind of get some information from small businesses, trying to share some strategies and see kind of how we're combating this so we can all stay afloat and be here for when this is all done. The big guys are loving this, but the small businesses, we got to stay strong. We got to stay together. So, do you have how's your business combated? Have you guys been closed? Have you since been open, curbside? What's been your strategy, and how have you guys kind of coped with this so far since closing March 17th, I believe, was our shutdown day?
Yeah, the most difficult thing was really not for my wife and I as owners. The most difficult thing was for the front of the house. Without having dine-in available, there was nothing for them to be there for, so they were all on unemployment. Luckily they got through fairly quickly, and they got their deposits, within a reasonable amount of time. I did my best to send their paperwork along as quickly as possible and make sure the documentation was accurate and everything, so they didn't get any hiccups along the way. We were able to keep some staff, my wife and I and our utility guy, our dishwasher, and just general utility person that keeps the restaurant clean and everything. We were able to work through just the three of us and doing carry out and delivery. We were fortunate that we had Grubhub online already before this happened. A lot of people were kind of struggling or trying to figure out how to add that into their business model if they didn't have it already when this happened, and they probably had some challenges that way getting that stuff lined up and ready to go. They probably lost some time there. We were fortunate that we had that already in place, and we were also fortunate that we had customer contact lists that we had established over the first year and a half that we were open. We had a lot of marketing stuff that we were doing with Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and then our own email platform that I do myself, just to kind of let people know what was going on, let them know we were still there. And our customers responded in a way that I really I can't thank them enough, because they really saw the importance of continuing to patronize D'Agostino's through this period of time. They knew that if they wanted to be able to come back at some point and sit down and see us and visit us and talk to us in the restaurant and dine in, that they were going to have to support us through this process. But we picked up a lot of new customers along the way too that were just looking for something good. It's my wife and I, we do delivery quite a bit ourselves, and sometimes it's hard to find really good food out there. It's just kind of like,
yeah, absolutely.
It was okay. I'm not hungry anymore, but the quality of the food and it travels well and things. So our customers really supported us incredibly, and I can't thank them enough for that. We did close for just a short period, right when they were anticipating the peak to happen, and nobody was really sure how bad it was going to get. We closed for like a week and a half, my wife and I, and we stayed home and just kind of made sure that everything was going to be cool before we went back. But other than that, we've been open pretty much the entire time. And last week, when the governor announced that we could open for dine-in again, we were already ready to go. We had all the sanitizer stuff. We had the sanitized stations set up with gloves and masks, and we were preparing for this from the very beginning and just waiting for him to say, okay, go ahead. Some other places not so much. I had all my product in stock before he even made his announcement, and I was ready to go. And it was great because my wife and I were sitting there in the restaurant watching the news, and before he even was done talking, we had already sold out our entire 6 o'clock seating. Within about 15 minutes, the phone was ringing off the hook, and people were like, "Oh my God!"
That's amazing.
Can we come in? Can we come in? And we that first night, we sold out all 3 seatings, and everybody was super excited to be in, and we were super excited to see everybody. So we've been very, very fortunate, and I feel blessed and grateful, and I know that our situation is not the status quo for what's going on in our industry, and I just feel very fortunate.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, because one of our biggest friends in this is going to be our social media and how we communicate to our guests and customers. And time and time again, we've talked to small businesses just recently, and a big part of their success is due to their social media and the connection that the customers have with the staff and the owners and the family feel, because we can all go to these big name places, but when you go to these small places, you're going to get the Dan's and the family feel, and I think that's the charm, and that's what kind of brings people coming back. And I think that it's a good lesson for small business is people that don't focus on social media and don't focus on that engagement. If there's no way to connect to your customers, if they can't come in no more, you got to be able to speak to them some way, and you don't want them to go to a competitor. So I think that's going to be a huge driving factor for businesses growing. Small businesses is really connecting to their customers, through social media.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning that, because one of the things that we did while we were doing modified hours, there was a curfew, everybody needed to be closed at 8 o'clock, and so we really had a pretty narrow window to operate under. But we kept going in on our downtime, and I was doing cooking demos on Facebook, live cooking demos on Facebook, and we were engaging with people. Say, hey, if there's something you want to see, I'll show you how to make it. Send us a Facebook or an instant message or whatever, and we actually grew our following within just a few weeks from like a couple hundred to almost 1,000. So that stuff really works.
If you get one new customer to come in and eat out of those,
yeah,
you're doing the job. So that's perfect. And I'm sure plenty of those people try to make that recipe, and it turns out like, and then they can't wait for you to open so they can have the real quality
right
Italian recipe, right?
Yeah.
The love that you put into it.
Well, it was cool. We did a little competition, like, okay, so this week we're doing, eggplant parmesan or whatever. And, if you're out there, if you want to make it, take a picture, send it in. Whoever, does the best job, will give them a $25 gift card to use when they come back and dine in with us. And so we were giving away gift cards to people that took pictures of their rendition of it and sent them in and stuff. It was fun. We had a good time with it. And it was a huge success for us. Channel 13 found us. They did a little spot on us last week, something called 13 Things, where they were highlighting restaurants and stuff that were doing things like that to keep their audience. And the important thing for us was really just to try to stay relevant during this period of time. Within our industry, within our area, our market, to try to get as many of those people just to, if nothing, just an impression, D'Agostino's Trattoria, and an impression, a lasting impression that they could remember when they wanted to go out and try something and get some great Italian food. They'd be like, oh yeah, I saw that video. That guy seemed pretty cool. Let's go check it out. And that's really what it's all about.
So going forward, as far as restaurant procedures and operations for your customers, for your staff, what steps are you taking to make sure that social distancing is enforced, the cleaning, and all the different things that, I'm sure your customers probably have some questions about.
Yeah, so we'll start at the front entrance and we'll kind of work our way in. So we installed a hand sanitizing station, a touchless hand sanitizing station, right at the front entrance at the hostess stand. So as soon as they walk in the door, they can sanitize their hands. We've set our tables. We're not accepting reservations or parties larger than 5. And preferably, if they're going to be that size, we would prefer them to be within the same household, not multiple households. We don't think it's a good place for multiple households to come and gather, when they haven't seen each other for 2 months and say, okay, well, let's all meet at D's. And, if they've been distancing themselves and keeping their households virtually, contained, then they should be venturing out in those smaller groups as well, at least for the time being. We encourage our customers to wear face coverings when they enter the building, and then remove them, when it's appropriate to do so. When they're, if they're drinking wine, obviously they need to take their mask off, but and definitely when their food arrives. But if they feel more comfortable and everyone feels a little bit more safe when, just walking around the room, we definitely encourage them to bring those along and wear them whenever they feel it's appropriate to do so. Our staff is wearing face coverings the entire time, and we're using gloves. We have a sanitizing station in our dining room where we're keeping all of the tabletop stuff like the oil and vinegar bottles, the salt and pepper shakers, things like that that are commonly used after you turn a table over. We're keeping those off the table and just bringing them over when it's appropriate for the guests to have those available, and then we're sanitizing them after the dinner is over. We take those back, we sanitize them, we wrap them up, and they're ready for the next use. Tables are 6 feet apart. For us, we're down to 7 tables in the restaurant, but we're able to do multiple seatings. So we open at 4:30. We can have a few tables from 4:30 to 6, and a couple from 6 to 7:30, and from 7:30 to 9:30. So we can turn the room a few times to try to keep our numbers up as far as how many customers we're able to serve in a dining period. But other than that,
disposable menus.
yeah, we're using the disposable menus. We got rid of we didn't get rid of them, but our nice menus with the menu covers are not in use right now. We're just using paper menus, and we're only giving menus to people that if there's like a table of 4, if they're from the same household, we'll give them one menu to share. If there's a table of 4 that are from different households, we'll give each couple one menu to share, and then those are disposed of after each use. Other than that, I think, my dishwasher is wearing a mask. He's wearing gloves when he's taking any of the used utensils or plates or glassware back to the dishwasher. And then he's employing those measures when he returns those clean items back to the front of the house. And that's pretty much our
staffing is still the same.
Is that your beautiful wife,
Yes.
Along? Come say hi.
Hi.
Dan was telling us a beautiful story about you guys earlier, how you guys met.
She's been sitting here the whole time.
Really?
She just didn't want to be on the camera.
Sorry.
Well, good. Well, that's, I think that's kind of, the trend for all restaurants that we've talked to. We got to do what we got to do to ensure the safety of our customers and keep our business going. Dan, so you are as a business that did make it back open, because they are saying that looks like about 25% of the businesses, as far as local restaurants, look to not be opening their doors again.
Wow.
So for the small business restaurants out there that maybe haven't opened yet because of whatever means, or are in question of what the new is, do you have any advice, or do you have anything that you can share with your fellow small business?
One of the things that we did to try to give ourselves some exposure, we did a thing where we took a nice meal to one of the fire stations. This is the fire station that's in our neighborhood. And we talked to the guys and we captured some, they were like, hey, you guys want to take a picture with the fire engine and, stuff like that. And that's kind of stuff that people like to see. We didn't really do it for publicity or marketing purposes. We just did it because we felt like it was the right thing to do. And we know the guys are working extra hours and, and stuff, and they're undergoing a lot of different kind of situations that they're used to and having to really adapt to the situation they're in. And we just wanted to take them a nice meal and figure like, okay, well, one day they won't have to figure out, there are guys who are sitting around the firehouse trying to figure out what they're going to do for dinner, and they don't have to do that. Took them a nice big pan of lasagna and some pasta.
Protecting our butts out there.
Yeah, right. So, and it wasn't anything that they offered for us if we wanted to take pictures with them and stuff like that. So then obviously we used it, but that wasn't the point of the thing. So, I mean, you have to, as a business owner, especially a small one, you have to kind of dig down deep into your heart and figure out how you can give something back to your community and see how that can create a response for you. And that sets you apart from everybody else. I mean, I don't know how many Italian restaurants there are in town, but probably, I remember at some point they said if you include all the pizza restaurants, there's like 8,000 Italian restaurants in Las Vegas. Ooh. So what sets you apart? Those are some things you can do. I mean, we're fortunate that we have some people around us that are really good with the social media, and my brother helps out, and my mom helps out. She's well connected with her parish, and she calls people and tells them, hey, Danny's making this or that this week, and it's really like, for us, our story of success has been a support group around us of people that want to see us succeed. That for us is probably the biggest difference. I'm sorry to hear that there are some people that aren't returning, and that's very sad.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you guys come from a foundation of love as far as what you do, and I feel like that's maybe the message that we need to kind of portray to the small businesses is when we're down and out, support each other, lift each other up, and get back to the things that we love doing. I mean, you guys love to cook food. I mean, yes, sure, it pays the bills and takes care of your family, but ultimately it's the things you enjoy. It'll solidify your business and really start some strong roots.
Yeah, for me, if people ask me a lot, what made you decide to become a chef? What made you decide to become a restaurateur? And for me, the answer is that when I was growing up, it was every Sunday going to grandma's house, families from different households, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, and generations would gather at one of my relatives' homes, and we'd have Sunday dinner together. And it was that experience growing up that made me realize how rare that is, especially today, that families don't gather around the dinner table. Everybody's kind of on their own. And so for us, for my wife and I, our passion and our primary goal at the core of everything is to provide a place where people can feel like they're with family, even if they're not. Even if they're not related to us, they feel like they're having Sunday dinner every night with their family. And you just can't get that anywhere.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, Dan, thank you so much for coming on here and telling us your story. I feel like it was a really good first interview for Shop Local. I feel like it went really well, and we got to get a really big feel for what D'Agostino's is doing. So thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any questions for us at all or anything you want to add?
I appreciate you reaching out, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
It was awesome. Thank you so much.
And then
if you'd like to visit in the future, just let me know.
Oh yeah, we'll be by to get that land.
We'll be in, don't worry. I only got about 27 more days, and I know my first stop is going to be. So
all right.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man.
Thanks,
all right,
Dan.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.